Bullying teachers and destroying ancestors, and harming fellow disciples is considered a scumbag of the sect. Not practicing Buddhism and repeatedly violating the 5 precepts is considered a scumbag in Buddhism. As a disciple of the Blood Refining Sect of the Demon Sect, Lin Haoming obtained a magical string of merit beads, which allowed him to do good deeds, earn merits, unseal seals, and gain benefits. As a result, the villains of the Demon Sect were born. This is the work of Lao Jing's return to Immortal Heroes. I hope everyone can support it. This book is always surprising. I assure you that it will be written in its entirety, so feel free to bookmark it with confidence. Keywords of the novel. No pop-up window for demonic villains. Download the complete collection of demonic villains TXT, and read the latest chapters of demonic villains. Chapter 1. Blood Refining Sect, Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Blood Refining Sect, Cultivation. In the year 20XX AD, in front of the gate of a temple, a handsome man in his early 20s, wearing a black casual suit and blue jeans, lay motionless on the ground in a large figure. At this moment, a middle-aged doctor who got off the ambulance was examining and giving first aid to the man. However, not long after, the doctor took off his thick glasses, wiped the sweat off his forehead, and shook his head. After seeing the doctor shake his head, the man was placed on a stretcher. A nurse took a piece of paper and covered his entire body with a white cloth, including the man's handsome face. Seeing this, the onlookers knew that this young man was probably dead. A middle-aged lady looked at the handsome young man who died like this and couldn't help but sigh, "That young man is fine, why did he die in front of the temple door? He was about to come and offer incense early in the morning, but was killed by a string of Buddhist beads. Did you see it? It was the Buddhist bead thrown out by the monk." Another gossip aunt took up the conversation, pointing to the chubby monk surrounded by 2 police officers, her eyes filled with disappointment at the current cleanliness of the Buddhist temple. The chubby monk is really not an ordinary chubby person. If he doesn't have hands and feet, he will have 2 meatballs stacked together, one big and one small. At this moment, the chubby monk was crying and shouting, "Police officer, I really just make a living. You said I cheated and kidnapped me, but how could it be that I killed someone? I threw a string of Buddhist beads, but how could a young man, strong, be killed by my string of Buddhist beads?" "What kind of Buddha pearl?" the police officer asked seriously. "It's the kind of 18 beads that I wore in my hand. Last year, I found them in the backyard of the temple. That kid is a lunatic. He ran up to my stall early in the morning and said I was deceiving in trying to dismantle my sign. In a fit of anger, I threw them over, but they really can't kill anyone." The chubby monk continued to shout out his grievances while gesturing. "Where's the Buddha pearl?" the police asked again. "I don't know either, it seems like it disappeared after hitting him," said the chubby monk innocently. The police followed and looked at the others, asking, "Which of you saw the Buddha's pearl?" After hearing this, everyone shook their heads and said they hadn't seen it. In broad daylight, the murder weapon disappeared. It's really a sight to behold. Faced with today's strange incident, the police felt beads of sweat rising from their forehead. There is a country in the southeast of Chuyun continent, named Cheiyun, which has stood firm for over 8,000 years. To the east of Cheiyun country, there is a blood flame mountain range. The mountains are renowned for their grandeur and danger. It is majestic, with its main veins spanning over 300,000 miles from east to west and 70,000 to 80,000 miles from north to south. Countless snow peaks rise into the clouds in the mountains, and the strength of birds is beyond measure. It is treacherous, with towering cliffs everywhere, rugged rocks on the slopes, miasma valleys and poisonous pools in the valleys, and countless monsters lurking in the mountain streams. It is said that even if an immortal master intrudes, there will be no return. The reason why the mountain range is called the Blood Flame Mountain Range is because the mountain range often presents strange scenes of blood light blocking the sky. Once it appears, the mountain range seems to be shrouded in blood flames, making people marvel at the incredible craftsmanship of heaven and earth. In fact, the reason for this is entirely because the gate of the Blood Refining Sect, one of the 7 major demon gates in the Cloud Continent, is located deep in this Blood Flame mountain range. On the mountain where the Blood Refining Sect is located, there are no pavilions, towers, or palaces. All there is a series of caves, but beneath these caves, there is another astonishing underground world. In this underground world, there are all the pavilions, towers, and pavilions that ordinary sects should have. Although they are not as ethereal as the fairyland of the immortal family, they are also majestic and majestic. In a small stone chamber in a remote corner of this underground grotto, a young man who appeared to be 17 or 18 years old was staring at the string of Buddhist beads in his hand. His eyes widened, his mouth grew, and he looked incredulous. "Damn chubby donkey, you're so ruthless that you sent me to a different world all of a sudden." The young man's rare mouth twitched a few times and made a little sound, but these words were filled with resentment towards a bald creature. Can this not be resentful? Lin Haoming used to be a graduate student at a prestigious medical university, waiting for a career with great potential and a nursing sister paper that surrounded him. But now he doesn't feel any hope for a promising future. Is it easy for an orphan to reach this stage of self-reliance? All of a sudden, it was destroyed. Nowadays, I have come to a world where people can practice immortal methods, but unfortunately, I am a disciple of a demon sect. If I were just a disciple of a demon sect, it would be fine. However, I am still a disciple of a demon sect with low qualifications. If I were just a disciple of a demon sect, I could be a person with a tail between my legs. But who would have let this young man, also known as Lin Haoming, have an ancestor of the Golden Core ancestor who used to be arrogant and domineering by relying on his ancestors and descendants? As a result, a few years ago when the ancestor died, I became a target of bullying from my fellow disciples. My ancestor is still alive and lives in the most abundant cave with abundant spiritual energy, attended by beautiful maids. However, a few years later, I can only live in the sparse corners of spiritual energy, doing the most arduous and tiring things every day, and even being bullied by others. In the Demon Gate, there is nothing to take care of fellow disciples. If you want to enjoy it, you have to rely on your own strength to exchange it. However, with your mixed spiritual root qualifications, Lin Haoming can only smile bitterly. Lin Haoming, today's salary for this month will be paid. What are you hiding in your own hole for? Don't you want it all? A somewhat hoarse cry came from outside, and upon hearing it, Lin Haoming immediately put away the Buddha beads and followed out. The person who called himself outside was a bearded man in his 30s, named Hai Futong, with a cultivation level of 9 peaks in the Xie refining period. He was the steward of himself and more than 20 other disciples of the Demon Gate. These are all from the memory of the former Lin Haoming. I came here for 3 days and it was the first time I saw him. As for the other 2 days, I have been doing my work here. Leaving his own stone chamber, there was a huge natural cave outside, measuring hundreds of meters in length, width, and height. On the rock walls of the cave, stone chambers were dug one after another, and Lin Haoming walked out of one of them, or rather jumped down directly. Although Lin Haoming's current identity is not very good, after all, he is a cultivator and can easily reach a height of more than 10 zhang. This is also not much, which makes Lin Haoming feel comforted. There were also over 20 other people who came out with me, and everyone stood in a pile. At this moment, Hai Futong was holding a jade bottle in his hand. Every time someone walked by, he would pour out 2 or 3 light yellow pills. The person who received the pills immediately carefully put them away. When it was Lin Haoming's turn, Hai Futong only poured one into his hand. Lin Haoming looked at it and called out, "See, Steward, why do I only have one?" Hai Futong saw that Lin Haoming was actually asking him, and immediately snorted coldly, "You didn't say it yourself. There are too many 3 per month that you can't refine on your own, so you've accumulated 2 with me. Do you want to go back?" Upon hearing Hai Fudong's threatening words, Lin Haoming was shocked and a memory came to his mind. It was when he first arrived here that he was bullied and had to offer 2/3 of his monthly pills to Hai Fudong for his protection. In fact, these 20+ people are not the only ones who take fewer pills, but they are really the only ones who only take one pill. Although Lin Haoming has been bullied by others, he is not a fool. By giving most of the pills to Hai Fudong, at least Hai Fudong will not let others bully him, otherwise he may not be able to save even one pill. Thinking of this, Lin Haoming felt that this kid used to live too miserably, but he also understood that his qualifications were really poor. When my ancestor was alive, there was enough supply of elixirs every day. So, when my 13-year-old ancestor passed away, he only had 6 levels of Qi refining. Now, 4 years have passed, and he is still 6 levels. And a girl named Xie Ruolan, whom my ancestor planned to marry me, heard that she had already reached 9 levels of Qi refining, and she is 2 years younger than me. This is really more popular than people. Of course, he is now a key inner disciple of the sect, and he doesn't remember himself. I haven't seen him even after reading for so many years. The world I am currently in, where I can cultivate, is known to me to have 4 levels of cultivation. Qi cultivation, foundation building, golden elixir, and yuan-ing. As for the legend that there is also a realm of transforming gods above yuan-ing, Lin Haoming has heard of it before from his ancestor, and even he has never seen such a person. It is unknown whether such a person exists. Each level is further divided into 10 levels, with the first 3 levels being the early stage, the 4th to 6th levels being the middle stage, the 7th to 9th levels being the late stage, and the 10th level being the great perfection. The gap between each major realm of a cultivator is enormous, and there are also significant differences within the same realm. For example, the gap between the 4th and 6th levels of the foundation is not as large as the gap between the 6th and 7th levels of the foundation. Nowadays, Lin Haoming is in the 6th stage of gas refining. If he could take another step forward and reach the later stage of gas refining, at least he wouldn't be bullied so harshly here. It's just that he doesn't have an ideal cave, no pills, and extremely poor qualifications, making it even more difficult to turn over. Alright, I've received my things. Hurry up and get things done today, otherwise don't blame me for being impolite to you. Hai Fudong finished distributing the pill and left with a pat on his butt. Lin Haoming was about to leave when suddenly 2 people stopped him. One of them smiled and said, "Young Master Lin, I'm going to break through the 9th layer of the Qi refining period recently. There's a shortage of pills. I wonder if you can lend me that one." The person who spoke was called Li Haiying. When Lin Haoming first came here, he hated being bullied by him the most. It wasn't until he later paid most of his salary that he was warned by Hai Fudong to restrain himself. Lin Haoming looked at him who dared to openly rob, and he was already very unhappy. He followed and said, "Li Haiying, I am protected by the Steward." Li Haiying heard this and a sarcastic smile flashed around his mouth, saying, "Kid, you may not know yet. Hai Fudong is giving us pills for the last time today, and he will be leaving here from now on. Starting from next month, the steward of this place will be me. If you're smart, just hand in all the pills, otherwise you'll have to suffer." Hai Fudong only needed his 2 pills, but Li Haiying took them all. Lin Haoming couldn't bear it. However, since he dared to come up in front of so many people to ask for the pills, and Hai Fudong didn't even go far, it can be said that what he said earlier was definitely true. If given to him, there will be a second time, and I'm afraid I won't be much different from the previous Lin Haoming. In the end, I can only bury my bones here in desolation. Since he came here, Lin Haoming is not willing to spend the rest of his life here. He is still young and unwilling. Thinking that it is not allowed to kill fellow disciples within the sect, and that he is also an ancestor, Lin Haoming does not believe that he really dares to poison himself. Faced with Li Haiying's aggression, Lin Haoming poured out the pill directly, threw it into his mouth, swallowed it in one gulp, and then deliberately smiled, saying, "I'm sorry, mine is gone. P.S. Bold surprise, new book returns to Immortal Heroes. This book will definitely be written in its entirety, so please feel free to bookmark it. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Merit Pearl, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Merit Pearl, Part 1, You Want to Die. Lin Haoming was furious when he saw that Lin Haoming dared to swallow the Xingqi pill in front of him. Lin Haoming saw him angry and immediately shouted, "See, Steward, Lin Haoming is going to take care of the pill that robbed me. You must take care of it." Haifutong didn't expect that Lin Haoming would call him to take care of this matter. He shouted so loudly that everyone heard him. If he remained indifferent, he would really lose face. Although he was about to leave, there was still 1 month left. Helplessly walking over, Lin Haoming immediately leaned in and said, "Steward, hi, look at Lin Haoming. He used to curse you in secret, but now you haven't left yet. He wants to ride on your head, it's really embarrassing." Lin Haoming didn't expect that Lin Haoming, who used to be as timid as a mouse, would suddenly have the courage to report to Haifutong in front of him. Haifutong actually doesn't really want to care about this matter, but it's because of his own face, and he's also angry that Lin Haoming was in a hurry to jump out before he left. So he still shouted to Lin Haoming, "I haven't left yet. Since I haven't left, the rules here still need to be handled according to me. Do you understand?" "Understood, see, Steward, rest assured that I won't cause any trouble before you leave." Haifutong has been a steward for several years and has accumulated a lot of prestige. Coupled with his high cultivation, Lin Haoming can only nod and agree at this moment. However, while speaking, his eyes have been fixed on Lin Haoming, as if warning him. Lin Haoming also understood his meaning. Before Haifutong left, he didn't cause trouble and had to tidy himself up as soon as he left. Watching others throw at him, either mocking or sympathizing, Lin Haoming felt a bit impulsive just now. However, even if he had to do it again, he would never lower his head. He was not that useless person. Growing up as an orphan, he had his own principles for dealing with things. Sometimes he could lower his head, and sometimes if he lowered his head, he might never be able to lift it again in his lifetime. "Haoming, you're too foolish. Lin Haoming has already made it clear, why bother arguing with him?" After both Haifutong and Lin Haoming left, a chubby man approached and sighed bitterly. This chubby man's name is Li Shuntian. He was originally a prince in a mortal kingdom, but later heard that he had the ability to become an immortal, so he followed the immortal to cultivate immortality. However, after joining the Blood Refining Sect, as a prince, his aloof attitude couldn't change for a while, so he offended many people and eventually fell here. Of course, after arriving here, Li Shuntian finally understood and became a human with his tail between his legs. Over the years, his cultivation level reached the 6th level of the Qi refining period. Watching the former prince say these things to himself, Lin Haoming didn't take it to heart at all. Although he knew he might be hit in a month, he also had his own obsession in his heart, willing to stand and die rather than kneel and live. 20 or so people walked in pairs towards a certain passage, passing through a passage that was at least 10 zhang wide and 100 zhang long, and finally arrived at a cave. The cave was filled with a pungent smell of blood, and the entire ground in the cave was dyed red with blood. Of course, this was not human blood, but a type of blood called mountain armored beasts. The mountain armored beast is a first-order spiritual beast that looks somewhat like a pangolin, but it is much larger than a pangolin. Including its tail, it is estimated to be the length of 2 adult men stacked together. The leather armor on the back of the mountain armored beast is very hard and is a material for refining weapons. The 2 front claws are incredibly sharp and can be refined into magical tools. The most important thing is that its inner core is one of the main materials for refining Xingqi Dan and Juqi Dan. In addition, the meat of mountain beetles can also be cooked into spiritual food, after blood has been condensed. It can also be used to make talismans. It can be said that this mountain armored beast is a treasure, and the entire Blood Refining Sect has raised tens of thousands of mountain armored beasts. Lin Haoming more than 20 other people's work is to slaughter mountain armored beasts, with each person having to slaughter 2 per day. The mountain armor beast is incredibly powerful, but the scent mountain armor beasts have all been drugged. Although they are still awake, their limbs are weak and can only be slaughtered by humans. Lin Haoming has been here for the 3rd day, and 2 days ago, he also slaughtered 4 mountain armored beasts with others. As a graduate student majoring in surgery at a medical university, Lin Haoming naturally wouldn't be afraid of such a little bloodshed. In the same few years, he has learned a lot from an old professor. Although he is facing a spirit beast at this moment, his approach is still steady, accurate, and ruthless. However, perhaps stimulated today, Lin Haoming did not immediately take action. Instead, he looked at the mountain armored beasts lying on their heads and let them be slaughtered, sighing deeply. Reaching out his hand to stroke the head of the mountain armored beast in front of him, Lin Haoming said with a deep sense of sadness, "Mountain armored beast, mountain armored beast. It's not that I sincerely want to kill you, but that's how the heavenly way is. You are a spiritual beast, I am a cultivator, and the strong will slaughter the weak. The heavenly way is like this. But rest assured, I won't let you suffer too much. It will end all at once. I only hope that you have the opportunity to reincarnate into an adult in your next life, or not be slaughtered again." Lin Haoming just felt it, but he didn't expect that the mountain armored beast would shed tears in both eyes after he finished speaking. The mountain armored beast doesn't have much wisdom, and Lin Haoming also feels strange. How can this mountain armored beast seem to understand its own meaning? After much thought, it may just be that the mountain armored beast itself shed tears. Lin Haoming was not taking care of so much at the moment, he just picked up a blood-red long sword. This long sword can also be considered a magical tool, but it is the lowest level magical tool. Apart from its sharpness, it has no other advantage, and a cultivator's magical tool is not just sharp. Of course, these are only for this world. When Lin Haoming first touched the blood knife, he was still amazed. How could there be such a sharp knife in this world? Compared to this blood knife, the surgical knife he used before was simply trash. Lin Haoming stabbed directly into the heart of the mountain armored beast, killing it with one blow. Soon, the mountain armored beast became unconscious, and he did manage to prevent it from suffering too much. When Lin Haoming pulled out his knife, he suddenly felt that the area on his chest was a bit hot. He touched the string of Buddhist beads just in time, but when he wanted to see what was going on, he felt that the area on his chest was scorching hot, and the beads even wanted to be embedded in his body. This situation startled Lin Haoming. He didn't pay much attention for a moment and directly opened his chest. However, after opening it, he found that his chest was white and tender, with nothing left. Even the Buddha bead seemed to be missing. Lin Haoming immediately immersed his divine consciousness into his body and soon realized that there was something else in his elixir field, not that string of Buddha beads, but what? This surprising situation forced Lin Haoming to use his divine sense to explore the string of Buddhist beads. However, when his divine sense touched the beads, Lin Haoming only felt a sharp pain in his mind, as if something had been forcefully poured into his mind, and he fell to the ground. "Haoming, are you okay?" Li Xuantian's cry came in his ear, and Lin Haoming woke up. Seeing many people looking towards him, he immediately said, "I'm fine." "It's okay, I thought you were being ambushed just now." Li Xuantian whispered. Conspiracy. Upon hearing this, Lin Haoming felt that he had really been ambushed, but not by someone else, by that Buddha bead. Although he was secretly plotted by the Buddha pearl, he now understands what the Buddha pearl really is. According to what the Buddha bead instills in one's own mind, the Buddha bead is actually called a merit bead. As long as one accumulates good deeds and enough merit, the seal of the merit bead will be lifted, and one will benefit from it. Just now, I reincarnated a mountain armored beast. The mountain armored beast thanked me for freeing it, so it was also considered a merit. And because of this merit, the first seal of the first bead of the merit bead was lifted. The first bead of this merit bead, also known as the Gathering Spirit Pearl, has the function of gathering spiritual energy. Now that the first seal is unsealed, it can already exert some abilities. Although Lin Haoming doesn't know how effective it really is, since even this merit bead can smash himself into this world, it's definitely not a simple commodity. In a hurry to go back and check the effect of the merit ball, Lin Haoming quickly dealt with the first mountain armored beast, followed by saying the same thing to the second mountain armored beast before killing it. Unfortunately, after killing it, the merit ball did not react at all. I don't know if he thought he didn't gain enough merit to unseal the second seal, or because he didn't gain merit. But now Lin Haoming couldn't manage that much either. After finishing the second mountain armored beast, he quickly ran back into his own stone chamber. This stone chamber all has a magic formation, but activating the protection of the formation requires the consumption of spirit stones. Lin Haoming can only obtain one spirit stone every 3 months, and half of it has to be handed over to Hai Fudong, so he doesn't have a few at all. But now he can't manage so much, just put a spirit stone on the eye of the formation and open the formation. Sitting cross-legged, with a thought in his mind, the Buddha beads magically appeared in Lin Haoming's hand. Looking at this string of Buddha beads that originally looked like white jade, one of them actually had a golden silk thread on it. Lin Haoming believed that this golden silk thread was probably the mark left after the first seal was unsealed. Holding the Buddha bead, Lin Haoming checked it and soon found that when he tried to absorb spiritual energy from it, it felt like he was holding a spiritual stone to absorb spiritual energy. You should know that the speed of absorbing spiritual stones for cultivation is much faster than self-meditation. Generally speaking, using spiritual stones directly for cultivation is at least 10 times faster than meditation, let alone in places with thin spiritual energy. After discovering this result, Lin Haoming immediately felt extremely excited. He knew that his opportunity had come. If he could absorb spiritual energy like this every day, even if his aptitude was not good, breakthrough in cultivation was no longer a dream. Moreover, this was only the first merit bead, the first seal. It should be noted that each merit bead has 9 seals. After practicing for 2 hours, Lin Haoming clearly felt that his cultivation had increased. However, at this moment, he found that spiritual power could not be absorbed from the merit ball. This result made Lin Haoming feel a bit crazy. Could unsealing a seal only absorb the spiritual power equivalent to 1/3 of a spiritual stone? However, after studying for a while, Lin Haoming found that after waiting for a while, there was spiritual power inside the gathering spirit ball that he could absorb, but it only took a while and then disappeared. At this point, Lin Haoming understood that the Zhu Ling Zhu was like an electric board, which could only be used when fully charged. After understanding this, Lin Haoming let the Zhu Ling Zhu absorb spiritual energy for a long time. However, in the end, he found that the Zhu Ling Zhu could only accumulate the capacity of a lower-grade spiritual stone at most, which was not enough. Lin Haoming felt that he needed to quickly unlock the second seal. P.S. Uploading a new book requires everyone's support. If you have a ticket, give it a ticket. If you don't, click on it. Of course, the most important thing is to collect it, which has a great impact on the old and new books. In short, your support is the driving force of the old and new books. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Merit Pearl, Part 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Merit Pearl, Part 2. Since the first seal was unlocked by killing the mountain armored beast, Lin Haoming will naturally not miss every opportunity to kill the mountain armored beast. However, besides Li Shuntian, no one who worked together could intentionally kill the mountain armored beast for him, so Lin Haoming could kill at most 4 mountain armored beasts in a day. Every time he kills the mountain armored beast, Lin Haoming always says a paragraph, but he kills it continuously for 5 or 6 days. Sometimes he seems to feel that the merit pearl has reacted, but the merit pearl still hasn't unlocked the second seal of the gathering spirit pearl. However, on the 7th day, while slaughtering the second mountain armored beast, Dantian's internal skill Deju finally reacted and the second seal of the Gathering Spirit Pearl was lifted. After lifting the seal, Lin Haoming immediately quickened his pace and ran back into the stone chamber after completing his tasks. Li Haiying watched as Lin Haoming activated his magic formation again, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. As his attendant Bao Wenliang watched, he immediately flattered and said, "Senior brother Li, I think Lin Haoming was afraid of you. He was worried about being blocked by you when he was alone, so he activated the magic formation. I understand this. I feel sorry for the spiritual stone he used to activate the formation. The formation will consume 1 spiritual stone in 10 days, 3 stones per month. If 1 spiritual stone is exchanged for 3 Xingqi pills or 1 gathering qi pill, then 3 gathering qi pills will be gone in a month." Li Haiying said displeased. Li Haiying had already taken Lin Haoming's things as his own, but at this moment, Lin Haoming was still trying to absorb spiritual energy. Sure enough, after the second seal was lifted, holding the Gathering Spirit Pearl, Lin Haoming felt that there was much more spiritual energy contained inside. From the moment Lin Haoming entered the stone chamber until the next day when someone outside called for work, for 7 or 8 hours, the spiritual energy inside the Ju Ling Zhu was not completely absorbed. Lin Haoming knew that he already had countless spiritual stones for his cultivation, and the only flaw was that these spiritual stones could not be taken out for use. Of course, even so, Lin Haoming is already very satisfied. The only thing to do now is to quickly upgrade his cultivation to the 7th level of the Qi refining period. Only when he reaches the 7th level and faces Li Haiying in the later stage of the Qi refining period, can he have some self-protection power. In the following days, apart from completing his work, Lin Haoming immediately went back to practice. Although he still nagged about the mountain armored beast every day, the merit bead did not react in the following days. However, although the seal of the merit pearl was not lifted again, Lin Haoming successfully entered the 7th layer of the Qi refining period 3 days before his arrival in a month, making him a cultivator in the later stage of the Qi refining period. Although Lin Haoming's cultivation has improved, he also doesn't want others to know. When his ancestors were around, he passed on many techniques to him, and he also knows how to restrain his breath. Although this technique is not very good, any foundation-building cultivator, or even a cultivator with a complete Qi refining period, may be able to see through it. However, when facing his companions in the slaughterhouse, I believe they still can't see it. Of course, the slaughterhouse was named by Lin Haoming himself, and the real name here is called the Floating Butcher Cave. Floating Butcher Cave is not only responsible for slaughtering a spiritual beast, but also for slaughtering other spiritual beasts. Lin Haoming, along with a few dozen people, is responsible for slaughtering the mountain beetle. In addition, there are hundreds of people who are engaged in the work of slaughtering other spiritual beasts. These days, besides practicing, Lin Haoming is not indifferent to everything. He quietly gave some of the Xingqi pills he left behind to Li Shantian, asking him to help inquire about Hai Fudong and Li Haiying. The Xingqi pill was still useful in the 6th layer of Lin Haoming's refining period, but it was not very useful in the 7th layer, so waste utilization is not a concern. Li Shantian took advantage and tried his best to handle things. He soon found out that the reason Hai Fudong left here was because his cultivation was about to break through to the peak of his Qi refining period. He was only in his early 30s and wanted to try to break through to the foundation building period. As for Li Haiying, the reason why he took over Hai Fudong's class was entirely because this kid secretly gave benefits to Kong Xiangming, the deacon of the floating caves. Kong Xiangming, the deacon of Fuda Caves, is a serious foundation-building cultivator. It is impossible for a foundation-building cultivator to speak without dozens of spiritual stones. Lin Haoming felt that even if Li Haiying sat in the position of steward, he would not be able to retrieve dozens of spiritual stones without 2 or 3 years of effort. This was still a situation where he did not cultivate himself, and if he had so many spiritual stones, he would directly use them for cultivation. Perhaps in 1 or 2 years, there would be a chance to achieve the perfect Qi refining period. Why suffer here? After much thought, it seems that Li Haiying may not have followed the path of Kong Xiangming, but rather the people around him. Unfortunately, there are too few people I know, and it would be great if Li Shuntian could inquire about these things. No matter how many things he knows, he probably wouldn't know. In the blink of an eye, when it was time to receive their salaries again, more than 20 monks stood together. In front of everyone, Hai Fudong and Li Haiying faced each other together, and there was also a tall and thin-looking man standing between them, showing his extraordinary identity. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the disciple of Deacon Kong, Situ Ping, Situ Senior Brother. Today, Situ Senior Brother has announced the news. In front of everyone, Hai Fudong first introduced it. When Lin Haoming saw Situ Ping, he paid more attention to the clothes of his inner disciples and the storage bag around his waist. The clothing of inner disciples is also a lower-grade magical tool, with a magic array inside. It not only warms in winter and cools in summer, but also has a certain protective effect. At least ordinary divine weapons in the mortal world cannot be cut through. As for storage bags, just that bag alone requires at least 30.50 spiritual stones, let alone a matching flying magical tool inside. All the headgear adds up to at least 100 spirit stones, which can be said to be much better for inner disciples than for outer disciples. In fact, for the Blood Refining Sect, external disciples are only called disciples by name, but in reality, they are just some miscellaneous workers. Therefore, external disciples all want to become internal disciples, but less than 1 in 10 can truly transform from external disciples to internal disciples. When the ancestor was here, he also had this outfit, but after his death, he was soon found an excuse to be kicked out of the inner gate. If he wanted to enter the inner gate again, besides being recognized as a disciple by powerful seniors, he had to cultivate his own cultivation until the Xie refining stage was fully completed, and he must be within 1 year old, because within 1 year old, there was still a chance to build a foundation. After 1 year old, even the cultivator's body began to weaken, and building a foundation was almost hopeless. Situ Ping's small eyes swept over everyone and then he said nonchalantly, "Your former steward, Hai Fudong, has decided to close down and complete the Qi refining period. The steward's position will be taken over by Li Haiying. Do you have any objections?" Upon hearing him say so, many people looked at Lin Haoming, but he did not speak. Situ Ping's gaze also swept over Lin Haoming, but he still said calmly, "Since there is no objection, then this matter is settled. Stewardly, let's give everyone salaries." Upon hearing Situ Ping's words, Li Haiying smiled and took a cloth bag that Situ Ping had thrown out of his storage bag. After opening the package, inside was a pile of spirit stones and a jade bottle. This month is a great month for the cultivators of the Blood Refining Sect, as they can hold spirit stones. Although there is only one, it is also extremely precious. At this moment, Lin Haoming was the first to walk up and smiled, reaching out his hand and shouting, "Managerly." Li Haiying looked at Lin Haoming and was actually the first to run up, which was clearly a deliberate attempt to intimidate himself. Looking at Lin Haoming, his eyes also showed a fierce expression. However, Situ Ping was still there, and he dared not really do anything to Lin Haoming. Instead, he smiled and handed him a spirit stone and 3 qi gathering pills, but the meaning of his smile was self-evident. After Lin Haoming got the things, he immediately ran to Haifutong and directly put the newly obtained holy stone in Haifutong's hand and said, "Senior Brother Hai, Senior Brother is here. Thank you for taking care of him. Please don't refuse me. P.S. Get up early for updates, continue to seek support, tickets, and collections. Dear readers, your support is the biggest motivation for Lao Jing." End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Life is not worth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Life is not worth. Hai Fudong was a bit surprised. How could Lin Haoming know he had left and still send him a spirit stone? At this moment, he heard Lin Haoming whispering in his ear, "Please show me a clear path, Senior Brother Hai." Hai Fudong carefully glanced at Lin Haoming and was secretly surprised. This kid had been silent under his command for several years, and it seemed that he was mostly trying to avoid the spotlight after the fall of his ancestor. Now that several years have passed, no one has mentioned Lin's situation, and it seems that this kid doesn't want to be silent anymore. The cultivation of the Demon Sect is not inferior to the righteous path. Even if one's aptitude is poor, as long as they have great perseverance and ruthlessness, they can still achieve success. Hai Fudong feels that he has underestimated this kid, but considering that he has not offended him excessively in recent years, he may find himself now. If he helps, he may still be able to form a good relationship. Although the Demon Sect does not advocate this, for weak cultivators, sometimes even a little fate is a great opportunity, so no matter what Hai Fudong does, we will stay on the front line and not push the other party to a dead end. Glancing at Situ Ping in the distance and Li Haiying staring at him, he whispered, Situ Ping has a junior brother named Zhou Jie. You can think of a way to start from him. Upon hearing these words, Lin Haoming knew that Hai Fudong had still pointed his way. Although Zhou Jie was also a disciple of Kong Xiangming, he was afraid that he would not be able to deal with Situ Ping. With this news, Lin Haoming knows that he has at least one opportunity, but how to seize this opportunity still requires his own thinking. However, there was not much time left for oneself to think, and soon everyone received their salaries. Most people immediately paid their share of the money after Situ Ping left. Watching them understand the rules, Li Haiying's lips also showed a hint of pride, but when he saw Lin Haoming, his eyes once again showed cruelty. Of course, in front of so many people, it's impossible to do anything to Lin Haoming, otherwise it would break the rules of the sect and bring bad luck to oneself. However, although it's not easy to teach him directly for a while, indirect teaching is still not a problem, and someone has already given him a chance. The group who received their salary came back to the slaughterhouse again. The mountain armor beast has been transported, and the two disciples responsible for transporting the mountain armor beast have distributed it to each person. Lin Haoming, as usual, touched the head of the mountain armored beast and muttered in his mouth. However, at this moment, Li Haiying walked over and sneered, Junior brother Lin, you are really kind. Are you planning to betray your sect and join the Buddhist sect? Kill a mountain armored beast and recite scriptures. How I kill is my business, and it seems that you, the steward, can't handle it either. As long as I complete the task, it's fine. Lin Haoming said without showing any weakness. Yes. Then I'll see you complete the task. Li Haiying smiled and patted the neck of the mountain armored beast a few times before leaving. Lin Haoming felt a little uneasy as he watched him leave like this. He picked up his blood knife and wanted to continue, only to suddenly find that the breathing of the mountain armored beast in front of him had become heavy. Just as he was surprised, the mountain armored beast that was originally lying on the ground suddenly flipped over and stood up. No, this mountain armored beast hasn't been knocked down. Li Shuntian shouted beside him when he saw it. After Lin Haoming saw it, he waved his hands and immediately two fireballs flew out, hitting directly on the nose of the mountain armored beast. The mountain armored beast roared in pain, but did not attack anyone. Instead, it waved its front paws and dug up soil, preparing to flee directly. The mountain armored beast is extremely fast, and even the leather armor on its back cannot be broken by a blood knife. With just one delay, it is likely to escape. If the mountain armored beast slaughtered by oneself runs away, it will definitely be responsible. At this moment, Lin Haoming didn't want to be caught by Li Haiying. Without any hesitation, he took out a yellow paper talisman from his arms and threw it. The talisman burned instantly in the air, followed by a flash of spiritual light and a burst of cold energy. A blue tangible cold energy fell directly on the mountain armored beast in front of everyone, but in an instant, the mountain armored beast, which was already half body underground, was frozen directly. This is a low-level intermediate frozen talisman. Many people exclaimed in surprise when they saw that the mountain armored beast was completely frozen. However, Lin Haoming felt a bitter bitterness in his heart. This frozen talisman was one of the few truly valuable things left by Lin Haoming. It was originally intended to be used to save his life, but he didn't expect it to be used here, which made Lin Haoming feel a bit unworthy. There are also low, medium, and high-level talismans in the cultivation world. Although the frozen talismans I use belong to low-level talismans, they are of medium level and powerful. If I were to sell them for at least 7 or 8 spiritual stones, it would be luxurious to use them all at once. However, this mountain armor beast is also a first-class spiritual beast, equivalent to the later stage of Xie refining. If it weren't for this talisman, it would be really difficult to deal with. However, just as Lin Haoming himself was disappointed, he suddenly felt that the merit ball had a reaction, and this time the merit ball received a much stronger response from the merit ball than before, which allowed the mountain armor beast to enter the cycle calmly. Lin Haoming felt a bit strange and suddenly noticed the 2 cultivators running towards the mountain armored beast. He suddenly understood that this merit might have come from them. These 2 cultivators are dedicated to drugging spirit beasts. The spirit beasts were not deceived, and they have to bear the responsibility for this matter. Now that someone has solved it, it is naturally a great help to them. Chu Yenyun saw that these 2 disciples from the same sect both had 8 levels of cultivation in the Xie refining stage, and they were not weak anymore. So he took the initiative to approach them and whispered, "2 senior brothers, I just noticed that our steward patted the nose of this mountain armored beast with his right hand." Upon hearing these words, the 2 of them immediately changed their faces and followed the frozen mountain armored beast, rushing to Li Haiying's side and shouting, "Stretch out your right hand." Upon hearing the 2 people drinking, Li Haiying angrily said, "What are you doing? If you don't extend your hand, don't blame our brothers for being impolite." The 2 of them threatened directly. Li Haiying reached the peak of the 8th level of the Xie refining period, but he had to face 2 people at the same time who were in the 8th level of the Xie refining period. He was not a match for himself, especially since these 2 were still cultivators in the floating caves who specialized in transporting spiritual beasts. In the floating slaughterhouse, only the best skilled people will do this job, unless someone deliberately wants someone to die, and these 2 people are obviously not the latter. "Why should I check for you? I'm from senior brother Situ." Li Haiying threatened in turn. The 2 of them listened, but snorted coldly, looking for death. As the voices of the 2 fell, I saw one of them pointing slightly. As soon as the cold light flashed, I heard Li Haiying scream in agony. Looking back, I saw that one of Li Haiying's arms had already been chopped off. "You! How dare you take action against your fellow disciples?" Li Haiying covered his severed arm and looked at these 2 people in anger, his eyes filled with fear. The 2 of them sneered in their hearts. It's okay for Li Haiying not to say he's from Situ Ping, but if he says something, there's really no need to be afraid of him. Who would let his brothers be from Zhoujiye? The slightly shorter man between the 2 picked up Li Haiying's arm and smelled his palm. He glared at him and said, "Indeed, there is a scent of awakening from the 1,000 altars in his palm. Li Haiying, what else do you have to say? You awakened the enchanted spirit beast without authorization, causing it to almost escape. This is a serious crime. As an external disciple who has just become a steward, you would never take the initiative to do this. Answer honestly, who asked you to do it?" Upon hearing the other party's reprimand and also having his severed arm in their hands, Li Haiying was shocked and instinctively exclaimed, This is. Li Haiying was so scared that he was ready to speak, but just as he was about to say who it was, suddenly a flying sword flashed over Li Haiying's neck, and his head immediately fell off. Watching Li Haiying's head roll down, Lin Haoming was not afraid, nor did he feel any excitement or happiness, but rather an indescribable desolation. Looking back not long ago, I was trying my best to deal with Li Haiying. Who would have thought that before I could come up with a solution, he had already become a different person? Lin Haoming had a deeper understanding that the life of this outsider disciple was too worthless, even if he became a so-called steward. P.S. Collecting new books is very important, and you probably don't have many tickets in your hands tonight. However, if you don't have them, please help to collect them. After all, old Jing's book only has a good academic performance and more motivation. Therefore, the help of readers is really important. Thank you all for helping to collect old Jing here. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Current Steward. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Current Steward. The two of them watched as Li Haiying was directly beheaded and looked towards the person who was taking action, their eyes showing helplessness. The person who took the action was Situ Ping, and everyone knew that he was killing people to silence them. However, the two of them were just external disciples. They had already been killed, and no matter how hard they defended themselves, it would be useless. Moreover, even if it was truly proven that he was the mastermind behind this matter, for internal disciples, an accident involving a mountain armored beast was not a big deal. Feng Ping has met senior brother Situ. Jian Wei has met senior brother Situ. Although the two of them also guessed that Situ Ping had Li Haiying deliberately tamper with him, most likely to make their brothers unlucky, they had to bow their heads now. Situ Ping looked at the dead Li Haiying and said, "What kind of person is recommended by Hai Fudong to frame a subordinate and even dare to do such a thing? But you are very good. You can actually take this mountain armored beast. You also have 7 levels of cultivation in the Xie refining period, which is barely enough. Would you be willing to do this, Steward?" Lin Haoming didn't expect Situ Ping to suddenly ask him if he wanted to take charge. You know, just a day ago, he was worried about how to solve Li Haiying's trouble, but now it's completely reversed. It's just that Situ Ping is definitely not a good thing, just see how he solves Li Haiying. But if he doesn't agree, there may not be any good fruit to eat. However, when Lin Haoming thought about it, he wondered if he had any conflict with this Situ Ping. As for the Zhou Zhiye whom he originally wanted to join, he had only heard of his name before. Who knew what it would be? Now that there is an opportunity to move up and not seize it, that would be really foolish. Lin Haoming thought about these things clearly and immediately arched his hand, saying, "Thank you very much, senior brother Situ. Senior brother Situ helped me get rid of Li Haiying, who was going to frame me. Lin will definitely take care of this steward and repay senior brother." "Okay, great, I hope you're a smart person." Situ Ping nodded with satisfaction upon hearing this statement. After waiting for Li Haiying to be dealt with directly, Situ Ping said expressionlessly, "What's your name?" "Lin Haoming." Lin Haoming said truthfully. Situ Ping seemed to have no memory of this former ancestor or descendant, and directly ordered, "Give you a quarter of an hour, tidy up your things and come with me." Lin Haoming knew that becoming a steward required registration. Since Situ Ping had agreed to this matter, he naturally had to complete it, and the steward would also live in another cave or stone chamber. Returning to his stone chamber where he had lived for several years, Lin Haoming immediately packed everything he had to carry into a large bundle and carried it on his body. When he was about to take out the spiritual stone from the array's eye, he was surprised to find that it seemed to have abundant spiritual power inside. Looking at this spiritual stone, Lin Haoming finally realized that he had not changed it again after opening the magic array with this spiritual stone this month. As long as he came back, the magic array in his stone chamber was almost always on, and according to reason, it should have been exhausted long ago. What's going on? Is it related to my own gathering of spirit beads? After much thought, Lin Haoming seemed to have nothing to do with it, but could his spirit gathering beads not only charge himself, but also other spirit stones? If it were really like this, Lin Haoming suddenly saw a grand road to wealth. Of course, at this moment, Lin Haoming didn't have time to study carefully. He couldn't let Situ wait too long. After collecting the spirit stone, he immediately ran out. Situ Ping was already waiting for him outside. After seeing him come out, he didn't speak and walked straight towards a passage in the cave. Not long after, the two of them walked into the passage when Lin Haoming suddenly heard Situ Ping say, "Junior brother Lin, I see that you are also a smart person. I don't care about your previous relationship with that Li Haiying. Since I have made you do this job now, then you are my person. Do you understand this point? Senior brother Situ, you gave me this steward, and I will naturally repay you." Lin Haoming replied with a smile. Situ Ping expressed satisfaction with Lin Haoming and nodded slightly. Lin Haoming already had a plan in his heart. "Indeed, you did manage this matter. No matter how others give you some money, we will give it to you. But if you let me also act as a scapegoat, don't blame me for turning a blind eye." After walking through the passage, here is another larger cave. There are also many stone chambers on the cliff walls of the cave, but these chambers are obviously much larger than the places where they lived before, and their spiritual energy is more rich. Although their strength is limited, if accumulated over time, there are also many more. There are also several passages connecting the outside of the cave, but the most eye-catching one is still a large grotto. At this moment, several monks are gathered inside, all of whom are other managers of the floating butcher cave. Senior brother Situ. Seeing Situ Ping coming, the stewards with cultivation in the 8th and 9th levels of the Qi refining period immediately bowed to him. Situ Ping just nodded slightly and then said to the old man, who was already gray-haired, "Steward Ma, the previous successor to Hai Fudong, Li Haiying, committed a crime and was dealt with by me. This is a new steward, please register him. Ma Guanshi is called Ma Gaofeng, who has a perfect cultivation during the Qi refining period. It is said that he is already 100 years old, and cultivators during the Qi refining period can generally live for over 100 years. Therefore, even cultivators like Ma Gaofeng have reached the age to quickly step into the yellow soil. Many cultivators, after the age of 60, know that they cannot make a difference and will try their best to leave the Blood Refining Sect, enjoy glory and wealth with ordinary people, or seek Taoist priests to cultivate offspring. However, the horse steward has not left and has been working here. His steward is different from ordinary stewards because he is in charge of more than 20 of his subordinates. Steward Ma scanned Lin Haoming with his slightly cloudy eyes and said calmly, "My cultivation is a bit low, but it's not easy to have the 7th level of Qi refining at this age. Even my inner disciples are just like that. What's your name?" "Lin Haoming." Lin Haoming replied. Upon hearing the name Lin Haoming, Steward Ma seemed to remember something. His old face also showed a smile and said, "No wonder, no wonder." Lin Haoming knew that the horse steward should have known his identity, but he didn't say much. He just dug out a jade plaque from the storage bag, injected a spiritual energy into the jade plaque, and then threw it to Lin Haoming, saying, "All right, no matter what you used to be, in the future you will be the steward of the floating butcher cave and the mountain armor beast. Work hard, maybe there will be a chance. This jade plaque is your identity card, and when stimulated, you can enter your cave here." Lin Haoming was somewhat surprised by the encouragement from Ma Guanshi, and his heart was only grateful for the kind words of a person who was about to run out of life. Situ Ping was not in charge of Lin Haoming either, he just instructed him to handle things well in the future. If there was anything, he would go to another cave where he lived to find him. Of course, Lin Haoming understood that asking him was probably asking him to give him benefits on time, but not really asking him to help him handle the trouble, so he didn't pay much attention. As soon as Situ Ping left, a man who looked like a white-faced scholar sneered, "A person with 7 levels of Qi refining has actually become a steward. How capable he is. P.S. New books are not easy, and collection is very important. During the new book period, there will be 2 updates every day. Friends who have been reading Old Shock should know that Old Shock updates are still quite stable, and they can basically do it when they say it. Now I want to tell everyone that as long as the book collection reaches 1,000 each time, Old Shock will add another chapter, and we will not regret it. So, everyone should collect more." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Competition. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 6 Competition. The man spoke in a strange tone, pretending to mock Lin Haoming's low cultivation. But before Lin Haoming could retaliate, another skinny man in his 30s sneered, Xie, didn't you come from the 7th level of the Qi refining period? I remember you didn't break through the 7th level of the Qi refining period until after 20, did you? Now you have to mock someone who broke through earlier than you. You're really good at it. Niu Wu, what do you know? The reason why Lin Haoming has such a high cultivation level is fundamentally because he used to be a descendant of Lin Laozu, taking pills and spiritual stones every day. If I had such conditions, he would probably have completed his Qi refining period at his age. Xie sneered. Upon hearing these words, Lin Haoming understood that there were quite a few people in this place who knew him. Niu Wu was obviously unaware, as Lin Haoming did not refute and knew that what the other party said was true. Lin Haoming discovered that after learning the truth, Niu Wu seemed to be quite enthusiastic about himself at first, but then he just murmured a few words and didn't say anything anymore, and most others did the same. Lin Haoming can actually see that everyone knows their identity and understands that they don't have much future, so there is no intention of making friends. The steward here should also be divided into two groups. One group is under Zhou Jie's command, and the other group, including himself and Niu Wu, are all under Situ Ping's command. It can be seen from the fact that the relationship between Situ Ping and Zhou Jie is very poor when the two groups don't directly deal with each other. Xie seemed to see the thoughts of others and laughed along. Today is considered lucky for this kid. According to our rules, new arrivals must participate in the competition. In 3 months, don't be too afraid to take action. After hearing these words, Lin Haoming felt strange and looked at Niu Wu, asking, Senior brother Niu, what's going on with this battle? We, the stewards, will compete in 3 battles and 2 victories during the Lunar New Year. The losing side will each have to give out 2 spirit stones. Those who directly participate in the battle must give out 5 spirit stones. If we win, not only can we get the opponent's spirit stones, but we can also take 2 spirit stones from other people as bets. As newcomers, we must participate in the battle. This competition has just ended, and we have won. You are new here, and you must participate in the battle next month, explained Niu Wu. I only have 7 levels of gas refining, isn't that fair? Lin Haoming deliberately pretended to be very unwilling and called out. According to common sense, it is true that newcomers who participate will send someone with equivalent cultivation as their opponent, but no one here has cultivation below the 8th level of the Qi refining period, so your opponent can only be the 8th level of the Qi refining period. Niu Wu explained, while looking at Lin Haoming, he also felt a bit unhappy. This kid has low cultivation, and in 3 months, he must win the other 2 games completely, otherwise he will lose to the Spirit Stone. A few others also thought of this and looked at Lin Haoming with displeasure in their eyes. Obviously, Lin Haoming, the new steward, was going to make them lose the Spirit Stone, which was definitely not a good thing. One of the guys named Tang Gaojun warned, Junior brother Lin, don't walk away just because you think your cultivation is low. Show your true skills, otherwise don't blame us stewards for not giving you face. Tang Gaojun has a cultivation level of 9 in the Qi refining period, and he looks only in his 20s. He is not weak here anymore, and he can also see that the people on his side are all led by him. It is estimated that his strength should be the strongest. Senior brother, don't worry, I won't give up easily. Lin Haoming promised. Lin Haoming's assurance was not due to Tang Gaojun's warning, but rather that he was not someone who gave up easily. The feeling of being defeated by others was not good, and he didn't want to try. However, Xien's mouth didn't spare anyone, and he sneered a few times on the side, that's really nice. I think everyone is still prepared to lose. Let's save a little bit in the next 3 months, don't even come up with a spirit stone. Let's wait and see, we won 3 games in a row. Tang Gaojun was very unhappy when he heard this. He directly let out this sentence, but his gaze swept over Lin Haoming's cultivation, and his heart also became angry. Finally, he let out a cold snort and disappeared completely. Lin Haoming knew that his words just now had already shown that he didn't have a good opinion of himself. He had already displeased the steward on both sides, but this matter was not something he could control, and he didn't want to get involved in it. What he was thinking most about now was whether the gathering spirit beads could replenish the spiritual power of the spirit stone. Therefore, after leaving the cave where Steward Ma was located, he immediately used the jade plaque. Injecting spiritual power into the jade plaque shone brightly, followed by a faint light from the entrance of one of the stone chambers on the rock wall, and flew directly in with Lin Haoming. This stone chamber is much larger than the one I used to live in. In addition to the room for meditation and cultivation, there is also an additional living room-like place with a stone table and 4 stone benches, and there is nothing special about it. Of course, there is also a magic formation. Lin Haoming directly placed a spirit stone on top, stimulated the formation, and then took out the gathering spirit bead. He also took out a spirit stone that had absorbed spiritual power a long time ago and placed the gathering spirit bead on top of this spirit stone. With these preparations in place, Lin Haoming's 2 eyes were fixed on the spirit stone. As time passed, Lin Haoming realized that the originally dull spirit stone had gradually gained a bit of luster. Although it was not very obvious, it did indicate that spiritual power had regained within the spirit stone. Lin Haoming was so excited that he jumped up when he discovered that this gathering spirit bead could truly refill the exhausted spirit stone with spiritual power. However, a day later, things still left Lin Haoming feeling a bit disappointed because he realized that it would take almost a day to fully fill a piece of inferior spirit stone. He couldn't just let the gathering spirit beads replenish the spirit stone's spiritual power, and he still needed to practice. Later, Lin Haoming tried and placed 3 spirit stones around the gathering spirit beads for experimentation. He found that adding too many spirit stones had similar effects. In a day, all 3 spirit stones replenished 1/3 of the spiritual energy, and the range of replenishing spiritual energy was only within 3 feet of the gathering spirit beads, no matter how far away it was. After the results were obtained, Lin Haoming did not intend to continue spending time on this. He had already moved to the idea of continuing to unseal the merit ball. On the 3rd day of being in charge, Lin Haoming left his stone room and arrived at the slaughterhouse, which had been separated for 3 days. Upon arriving here, I realized that even without my own supervisor, everyone has been working here these past few days. After all, Lin Haoming was just publicly executed, which is enough to make everyone honest for a while. Steward Lin. Seeing Lin Haoming coming, Li Xuantian's chubby face approached with a smile. Before, he didn't have many people to see, so Li Xuantian was considered a bit closer to him. Now that his identity has become a steward, he hasn't missed such an opportunity. As a steward, there is actually quite a bit of power, such as appointing 1 or 2 people to help oversee the work of the slaughterhouse, just like the fundamental Bao Wenliang around Li Haoming, who had originally planned to let him take charge of the affairs here. Of course, now that Li Haoming is dead, it's definitely not his turn. Instead, he looks at Lin Haoming with an especially ugly expression, clearly afraid of Lin Haoming retaliating against him. Lin Haoming had no time to retaliate against Bao Wenliang. As he watched the mountain armored beasts being sent to the slaughterhouse and waiting to be slaughtered, his eyes lit up. P.S. When I posted the previous chapter, I promised everyone that during the new book period, as long as there are over 1,000 bookmarks, I will add another chapter. Now, I would like to give you another promise. As long as you can enter the front of the new book list, it can be displayed on the homepage, stay for 1 day, and I will add another chapter, and it will not be repeated with the number of bookmarks. Old Jing keeps his promises, so everyone should support Old Jing and collect more. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Making Merit, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Making Merit, Seeking Collection, these are all merits. Lin Haoming looked at these mountain-armored beasts and muttered excitedly in his heart. Thinking of his current position as a steward, he didn't have that much concern and said directly, "Brothers, isn't Lin just valued by senior brother Situ and entrusted with a heavy responsibility? Lin promised senior brother to handle his affairs well, so from today on, all the mountain armor beasts will be let me kill them. After I kill them, you can handle it." Ah! Upon hearing Lin Haoming's command, everyone was a bit dumbfounded. However, the steward had already said so, and he couldn't disobey. Moreover, he only asked him to kill a mountain-armored beast, not himself, and no one cared. Seeing no objection, Lin Haoming smiled and said, "Junior brotherly, you can arrange the specific matters in the future. If I don't come by then, you can come to the cave in front of me and call me." "Yes, Manager Lin." Upon hearing Lin Haoming's words, Li Shuntian knew that he was considered the second manager here. Although he did not have actual status, he could still be considered one person below 10,000 people, and suddenly felt that his figure had increased by 2 points. As a prince, within this sect, I have been affected everywhere, and today I have finally managed to endure a bit. Lin Haoming didn't care too much. He picked up a blood knife and walked up to a mountain-armored beast. Then he muttered to the mountain-armored beast, and then he started cutting with his hands. Immediately after, Lin Haoming walked up to another mountain-armored beast, muttering for a while before continuing to wield his sword. The mountain armor beasts have killed more, and Lin Haoming has also gained some understanding of the merit beads. If merits are absorbed, the merit beads will have a reaction, and the greater the merit, the stronger the reaction. At the same time, if you carefully observe the merit beads with your divine sense, you will also find that a golden thread is becoming more and more solid. Once it fully appears, it indicates that another seal has been lifted. It is actually very weak to bestow merit upon the mountain-armored beast, but one can also feel it. However, after killing more than 20 mountain-armored beasts in this round, it was found that only 1/3 of them actually gained merit, indicating that not every mountain-armored beast hopes to be bestowed with merit. However, even so, Lin Haoming keeps coming over every day to kill the mountain-armored beast. Other stewards, as long as they become stewards, almost stop directly copying knives. However, Lin Haoming runs to his slaughterhouse every day, killing more than 1,000 mountain-armored beasts in a month. However, the third seal has never been lifted, and the golden line has become thicker and thicker, but it has not completely solidified, which makes Lin Haoming feel somewhat disappointed. On this day, it was the day to distribute the salary, and Lin Haoming also knew that the salary needed to be collected from the steward Ma first, and then distributed. Because it's Xiaoya, just receive the pill. As he walked to the cave where the steward Ma was stationed, before he could even enter, he heard Guo Xian's piercing voice shout, "Oh, our butcher Lin has arrived. Have you heard of him? This butcher Lin, for the next competition, killed more than 1,000 mountain-armored beasts in his own field today. He's really fierce. Killing over 1,000 top-grade spirit beasts a month is not a waste of the butcher's reputation." Another person named Li Tsong laughed along with him. At this moment, Tang Gaojun also walked in and heard their mockery, with a displeased expression on his face. He said, "Lin Haoming, why do you go to kill mountain-armored beasts on your own every day if you don't practice well?" "Hee, Tang's senior brother, maybe Lin junior brother needs evil energy to cultivate some powerful martial arts, so he kills mountain armor beasts every day to condense evil energy." Li Tsong didn't wait for Lin Haoming to explain before he began to mock himself. "I haven't heard of it yet. Killing an enchanted spirit beast can also condense evil energy. If there is such a method here, Lin junior brother, don't let me go and teach me. Later, I will also try killing a few fire rhinoceros beasts in my own field." Guo Xian continued to mock. Lin Haoming looked at Guo Xian's mocking face and sneered, "Senior brother Guo, since you look down on me, why don't we add another bet to our existing bet?" What do you mean, kid?" Guo Xian narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Haoming cautiously, asking. Of course, it's just to increase the bet. I'm willing to bet all of my worth, 30 spirit stones. Senior Brother Gua, do you dare to bet with me? Lin Haoming asked. Hee, good kid, you have a lot of courage. I'm afraid you'll end up completely penniless after this gamble. Gua Xian naturally wouldn't give in to a person with weaker cultivation than himself. Okay, Junior Brother Lin, you have courage. Even if you lose this time, we won't blame you. Tang Gaojun looked at Lin Haoming with a different eye when he saw that he dared to bet his entire value. Lin Haoming felt that Tang Gaojun's gaze towards him had also changed. He knew that this demon sect was indeed looking at someone who was even more ruthless. He was able to push himself to the brink of despair, which naturally made Tang Gaojun and others look at him again. Lin Junior Brother, don't worry about competing. Even if you lose this time, I will help you win back in the future. Niu Wu also patted Lin Haoming's shoulder again at this moment, as if the relationship was very iron. Lin Haoming smiled as a sign of accepting their kindness, but didn't say much. He took a bottle of pills and left. As a steward, not only do I receive more pills every month, but I also receive more spiritual stones. According to the regulations of the Blood Refining Sect, cultivators in the later stage of Qi refining can receive 4 Xingqi pills and 1 spirit stone every 2 months. However, if they are in charge, they can receive 2 gathering Qi pills and 1 spirit stone every month. 1 gathering Qi pill is equivalent to 3 Xingqi pills, so 2 gathering Qi pills are equivalent to 6 Xingqi pills. However, in fact, the effect of upward Qi pills on cultivators in the later stage of Qi refining is much smaller. Even if 3 pills are taken, the effect is only half that of 1 gathering Qi pill. Therefore, if one really goes out to exchange, 4 Xingqi pills can only be exchanged for 1 gathering Qi pill. Therefore, it can be said that Lin Haoming's income has suddenly doubled. Of course, in fact, Lin Haoming has no interest in these incomes. He has much larger ambitions than this. Arriving at the cave where he used to live, he called out more than 20 of his subordinates. According to the rules, everyone here is required to offer themselves a Xingqi pill, but Lin Haoming walked up to the first Li Shuntian and directly poured 3 Xingqi pills into his hands. As the second steward, the sufficient amount of elixirs was considered normal, but the second person was called Han Shao, who also had a cultivation level of 7 levels during the Qi refining period, which had nothing to do with himself. However, Lin Haoming directly poured 4 Qi refining pills into his hands. Han Shao looked at the pill in his hand and said in surprise, "Manager Lin, this pill." Lin Haoming knew what he was going to say and smiled, saying, "Don't take it amiss, everyone. Lin is different from everyone else. As long as Lin is here for a day, he will definitely not cheat everyone's pills and spirit stones." Ah! Upon hearing Lin Haoming's words, everyone was somewhat surprised, looking at him one by one with a wary expression in their eyes. When Lin Haoming came here, he had originally planned to exempt them from paying tribute. These people would definitely be grateful, and the merit would come. But when he announced it, he was waiting for a lot of merit to come, only to find that the merit bead had no reaction at all. Lin Haoming doesn't believe that he can't get credit for doing good deeds, the only explanation is that these guys used to not be grateful to him. Thinking of this, Lin Haoming suddenly felt a bit aggrieved in his heart. He gave up a large piece of benefits to them, but they didn't benefit him. Are these scumbags still human? What Lin Haoming didn't know was that in the past, these people could be protected by giving pills. Now that Lin Haoming doesn't take pills, does it mean he can't protect himself? Why are they grateful to Lin Haoming? Lin Haoming had already talked big before, so he couldn't keep withholding the pill and could only grit his teeth and send it down. However, his face was not good looking. Next, when he arrived at his own slaughterhouse, he didn't know if he was influenced by his emotions. He killed 50 mountain armored beasts without feeling any merit, which made Lin Haoming feel even more frustrated. Abandoning his blood knife and preparing to go back to his residence to get more spiritual stones, he suddenly saw someone running out from behind. Lin Haoming saw that the person who ran out was actually Bao Wenliang. This kid didn't bully himself with Li Haiying before, and Lin Haoming didn't leave either. Let's see what he's prepared for. Upon seeing Lin Haoming waiting for him here, Bao Wenliang immediately put on a smiling face and said, "Manager Lin, I used to be ignorant, so I did a lot of wrong things with that scoundrel Li Haiying. Manager Lin, you have been in office for so long and haven't caused me any trouble. It shows that you have a lot of trouble, and I really feel ashamed. Here is a little bit of kindness. Please keep it, manager, and it can be considered a small compensation." Lin Haoming glanced at what Bao Wenliang had stuffed over and found that it was actually 3 spirit stones. This was his income for 6 months, and his face immediately showed some joy. He said, "Junior brother Bao, you've said this to my heart. Actually, I've always thought that junior brother is a capable person. Recently, I've noticed that junior brother Li's cultivation is a bit weak. How about this? In the future, you can help me manage these people with him." Upon hearing Lin Haoming's words, Bao Wenliang was immediately overjoyed and exclaimed excitedly, "Thank you very much, Steward Lin. As long as you say a word from now on, I will definitely not hesitate to go up and down the mountain of swords." Lin Haoming was also greatly affected today, and the person he bullied before was not himself, so there was not much hatred. He casually gave him some benefits, which surprised Lin Haoming. With just one sentence from himself, he suddenly felt that a merit that was not inferior to the last time he helped Feng Ping and Jian Wei was included in the merit bead. After a month of surpassing the mountain armor beast, and with this, the accumulated merits finally reached the number of merits required to unlock the Gathering Spirit Pearl. Lin Haoming was immediately overjoyed, and Bao Wenliang was even more pleasing to the eye. Immediately returned to his residence, activated the magic formation, and Lin Haoming quickly took out the Gathering Spirit Pearl. Sure enough, the 3rd golden line above has solidified. Trying to absorb the spiritual energy in his hands, Lin Haoming immediately felt a powerful spiritual power enter his body when he applied the technique. In an instant, he felt like he was by his ancestor's side before, directly absorbing the spiritual power from the intermediate spiritual stone. Middle-grade spirit stones contain 100 times more spiritual power than lower-grade spirit stones. However, this is not the most important thing. What is important is that when absorbing spiritual power, middle-grade spirit stones have a speed twice that of lower-grade spirit stones. This is still relative to cultivators in the Xie refining period. If it reaches the foundation building period, it is equivalent to twice, and when it reaches the golden elixir period, it is equivalent to 3 times. So the exchange for the lower-grade spirit stone on the surface of the medium-grade spirit stone is 1 for 100, but in fact, it will cost at least 5 more yuan. For Lin Haoming, this has completely exceeded his expected surprise. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Disgrace, Seeking Collection Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Disgrace, Seeking Collection Again. Lin Haoming didn't expect the benefits to come so quickly, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that the speed of charging the spirit stone with the gathering spirit beads has also increased 10 times. It used to take almost a day to fill a spirit stone with spiritual energy, but now it only takes an hour. In view of this, Lin Haoming has even bolder ideas. The next day, Lin Haoming returned to his own slaughterhouse and saw Li Shuntian running over with a slightly unpleasant expression. He whispered, "Manager Lin, do you want Bao Wenliang to be responsible for this too?" Upon hearing his question, Lin Haoming realized that he had let him manage this place without receiving his merits. Obviously, this kid was also not sincere towards him. Thinking of this, Lin Haoming patted his shoulder and said, "Shun Tian. You also know that I have 7 or 8 cultivators in the later stage of Qi refining under my command. Your cultivation is a bit weak, and I'm afraid you won't be able to suppress it, so I asked junior brother Bao to help you." Upon hearing Lin Haoming's words, Li Shuntian's face also turned pale. He knew that Lin Haoming was clearly going to support Bao Wenliang. Thinking that he had been close to Lin Haoming, but now Bao Wenliang had taken the lead, Li Shuntian felt a little dissatisfied. Of course, Lin Haoming wouldn't really do anything to him. After all, when he was most down, he was the only one who was close to him. So Lin Haoming smiled and patted his shoulder, saying, "Shuntian, don't be angry either. Remember, you are my confidant. I have something to tell you. Go ask everyone if they have any leftover spirit stones in their hands and help me collect some." Upon hearing Lin Haoming's words, Li Shuntian actually recovered from his disappointment. He, who was originally somewhat depressed, was more energetic than before. Lin Haoming also felt a trace of merit seem to enter the merit bead, and immediately cursed Li Shuntian in secret. He used to be ungrateful to him, but now when he goes down with a big stick and gives him another sweet date, he actually appreciates himself. He even gives back to the prince, it's really cheap. However, from his performance, Lin Haoming also seems to have found something. You are kind to people for no reason, and almost no one will appreciate you. On the contrary, this kind of sweet jujube from the Big Stick family is effective. When he arrived at the slaughterhouse, Lin Haoming also announced directly that Bao Wenliang would also be in charge of the second time in the future. Many people listened to this and looked at Bao Wenliang, surprised by his sudden change in identity. Many people now remember yesterday when Lin Haoming didn't want everyone to share the money, and suddenly a few people who used to be close to Bao Wenliang approached to inquire. Bao Wenliang knew that in order to establish himself here, he still needed help, especially with Li Shuntian present. Therefore, he quietly told others that this Steward Lin did not refuse to accept everyone's share of the money, but rather waited for everyone to show their loyalty. He was the first to show his loyalty, which was why he gained benefits. Upon hearing this, everyone understood, and Bao Wenliang only told 3 people. However, there were not many friends here. As a result, when Lin Haoming finished killing the mountain-armored beast and was about to leave, Bao Wenliang ran over with a smile and stuffed a cloth bag for Lin Haoming. Lin Haoming looked and found that there were all Xingqi pills inside. Bao Wenliang immediately explained with a smile, "It's all everyone's wishes." Lin Haoming thought of those guys who were very ignorant yesterday, so he naturally didn't hesitate to take this Qi pill. After taking it, he followed the instructions and said, "Go tell the person who gave the pill how high Fudong used to be and how he will be in the future." Okay. Upon hearing Lin Haoming's words, Bao Wenliang immediately smiled and went back. Lin Haoming watched him go back and return to his own residence. Unexpectedly, on the way, he suddenly felt that the merit ball had received a lot of merit, and the 4th golden line had also faintly appeared. Lin Haoming turned his head to look at the slaughterhouse, and immediately cursed in his heart that these guys were all despicable and could benefit from it. However, although the number of merits obtained this time is considerable, the quality is clearly not as good as that given by Bao Wenliang. After all, not everyone suddenly rises from the bottom, and it is impossible for everyone to be appointed as a second manager. On the 3rd day, Lin Haoming received over 300 discarded spirit stones. Looking at a large bag of discarded spirit stones, Lin Haoming also smiled bitterly in his heart. As expected, everything that could be here was bitter. Even the discarded spirit stones were not willing to be discarded. The only function of this waste spirit stone is to be thrown back into the spirit stone mine cave. As it is already a spirit stone, over time, the spirit stone mine will be nurtured to a certain extent and can be replenished with spiritual energy for mining. Therefore, there are also people in the sect who purchase it. Only 100 waste spirit stones can be exchanged for 1 or 2 spiritual energy pills. The people here estimate that the waste spirit stones they accumulate in their lifetime can only be exchanged for 1 or 2 spiritual energy pills. However, on the other hand, if it weren't for this, he wouldn't have had the chance to obtain so many waste spirit stones. Lin Haoming felt quite lucky. More than 300 discarded spirit stones can be filled with 12 in a day, which is equivalent to having one's own income of 12 spirit stones in one day. In addition, Lin Haoming did not intend to delay his cultivation. He took out 5 different types of 5-element spirit stones, placed them in 5 different positions, and set up a small 5 elements gathering spirit formation. With this formation, his cultivation speed can be more than twice as fast as simply absorbing lower-level spirit stones, which means that the effect of gathering spirit beads is even better than directly absorbing medium-level spirit stones, and it doesn't delay the production of spirit stones by gathering spirit beads for oneself. As for continuing to transcend the mountain armor beast, Lin Haoming has no intention of doing so. From 3 attempts to unseal the seal, he has already seen that the merit required to unseal the 4th layer of seal is definitely greater than that of the 3rd layer of seal. He killed thousands of mountain armor beasts but did not unseal the 3rd layer of seal, which shows that the rewards obtained from killing mountain armor beasts are disproportionate to his current efforts to cultivate and manufacture spirit stones. Therefore, the following days will come, Lin Haoming only occasionally visits his own territory, and spends the rest of his time practicing. Based on one's current cultivation level, absorbing the spiritual power of a lower-grade spiritual stone, without considering refining, only takes 4 hours. With the addition of refining time, one can almost refine the spiritual power of 2 lower-grade spiritual stones in a day. However, using the 5 elements gathering spirit formation requires consuming these 5 spiritual stones in a day, and the benefits obtained are less than 5 spiritual stones, which means that a part of the spiritual energy is wasted. However, now that Lin Haoming has a spirit stone machine to make spirit stones, he naturally doesn't care about this. For him, improving his cultivation as soon as possible is the most important thing. Now relying on the 5 elements gathering spirit formation, Lin Haoming cultivates for a day, which is at least 20 times faster than pure meditation and qi cultivation. In other words, his daily cultivation is equivalent to the previous 20 days, nearly 2 months of cultivation, and 3 years of hard work in his daily life. If it were a disciple with outstanding qualifications, his cultivation would probably have greatly increased. However, for Lin Haoming, his growth in cultivation was somewhat pitiful. Based on his speculation, if he had to cultivate until the 8th level of the qi refining period, even if he practiced day and night, it would take at least more than half a year, but there were not many days left for him to compete with Gui Xian. Given this situation, Lin Haoming has no intention of continuing his cultivation, and now he has over 300 spirit stones in his hand. He needs to prepare for his competition. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Xie Ruolan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Xie Ruolan. In Lin Haoming's memory, when he finally met Xie Ruolan, she was still a delicate little girl. But now, 5 years have passed, and Xie Ruolan should also be 16 years old. As a cultivator, what is in front of him at this moment is completely a beautiful and graceful girl. With eyebrows like willow leaves and eyes like stars, beneath the naturally formed Qiong nose, a delicate and dripping little mouth is now slightly upturned, outlining a faint smile, giving people a very gentle feeling. Lin Haoming can say that not only did she come here, but even in her past life, she had never seen such a beautiful woman. Although due to her cultivation, freckles and secret memories that women usually have do not exist, even so, it seems that there is no woman in Lin Haoming's memory who can match her. What are you looking at? Don't be afraid that I'll dig out your dog's eyes. Get out of here. Just as Lin Haoming stared blankly at the young girl who would have become his own woman if his ancestor had not fallen, he did not expect to cause dissatisfaction from the man next to him. As an inner disciple, and not just an ordinary inner disciple, Ling Xingjie has regarded Xie Ruolan as his forbidden zone since he saw her a year ago. Anyone who wants to hit her will definitely not have good fruit to eat. Senior brother Ling, don't do this. Xie Ruolan heard it and let out a somewhat angry cry. Ling Xingjie's tone softened upon hearing this, and he said softly, "Junior sister, isn't it that I'm nervous about you? And I also want people to know that your appearance is not something that any cat or dog can stare at. You're quite domineering, even if you have the ability to call me that in front of senior brother Kong. Xie Ruolan pursed her lips with a hint of coquettishness in her tone. Listening to Sister Xie's coquettish voice, Ling Xingjie's eyes were burning with anger, but he also said with some displeasure, "Sister, don't worry, Kong Yuanliang was only born 1 year earlier than me, and he has 1 more year of cultivation time. If I also practice for an extra year, he will definitely not be my opponent." When Lin Haoming heard senior brother Ling mention Kong Yuanliang, he immediately remembered who the person in front of him was. "I remember when I was a child, there were several great ancestors and descendants in the sect. One of them, Ling, seemed to have a great-grandson named Ling Xingjie, who was probably the person in front of me. As for Kong Yuanliang, he was also the son of Kong Fong, the eldest disciple passed down by another ancestor. I have seen him several times before, but after 5 years, they all fell in love with Xie Ruolan. Although Xie Ruolan was incredibly beautiful in front of him, as if a celestial being had descended to earth, Lin Haoming knew that even if she had just spoken for him, his eyes did not look down on him at all. And this woman has never paid attention to herself in the past 5 years. She must have forgotten about herself long ago, and I won't bother looking for her." For himself, the duel with Guo Xian is still the most important thing now, and Lin Haoming did not stop and left directly. Seeing Lin Haoming leaving with wit, Ling Xingjie directly asked Wang Chen, "How are the transactions this month?" Wang Chen smiled and took off a storage bag from his waist and handed it to Xie Ruolan, saying, "Here are 800 spirit stones." 800, junior brother Wang is really capable. He has earned dozens of spiritual stones more than last month. Xie Ruolan's divine sense swept over, and his heart was also filled with joy. Ling Xingjie smiled proudly and said, "Ruolan junior sister, how about it? My vision is right. If you had listened to Kong Yuanliang's words back then, where would there be a monthly income of several hundred spirit stones now?" "Thank you, senior brother Ling. When we return to the 2nd floor, senior sister will definitely buy a few jars of high-quality spirit wine to console senior brother." Xie Ruolan smiled and said. Watching Xie Ruolan smile at him, Ling Xingjie was already overjoyed. Xie Ruolan looked at his virtue and, when others were not paying attention, a hint of contempt flashed in his eyes. He sneered inwardly, this kind of incompetent young master really wastes his identity as the great-grandson of Ling Laozu. Compared to Lin Haoming back then, he is not much better, but fortunately he is stupid. Otherwise, how could he find a balance between him and Kong Yuanliang? After leaving the bearded Wang Chen, Lin Haoming did not immediately return to his own cave, but went to several other caves to purchase the gathering Qi pill. "I brought a total of 350 spirit stones myself, and the remaining 250 were all replaced with Qi gathering pills before I went back." In fact, Lin Haoming originally planned to buy a magical tool, but he didn't even have a storage bag. If someone really found out that he had a magical tool, it would probably be like being targeted. Now that his cultivation is too low, it's not a good thing. It's better to replace it with a pill. Returning to his residence, he immediately activated the magic formation and threw a Qi gathering pill into his mouth, directly sitting in the 5-element spirit gathering formation to practice. This Qi gathering pill has a much better effect than Qixing Qi pill. Taking a pill, after refining, is almost equivalent to absorbing a lower-grade spiritual stone spiritual energy. However, a gathering Qi pill can be refined in just 3 hours on its own, while this inferior gathering Qi pill takes about 4 hours to remove impurities due to its high impurity content. However, it still absorbs spiritual energy much faster than light. When taken in the 5 elements gathering spirit formation, it combines both and can almost double the speed of cultivation. If there are enough Qi gathering pills, I estimate that I can enter the 8th level of Qi refining in 3 months. Now I take 3 pills a day, which costs 270 pills in 3 months. Counting the Qi gathering pills I bring back, it's almost enough. However, time waits for no one. 3 days later is the time for Diyu to receive his salary. On this day, In addition to the chief steward Ma Gaofeng, there were a total of 20.4 ordinary stewards standing in opposition outside the Ma Gaofeng caves. Lin Haoming was also among the group of people, and he also saw the legendary Zhou Zhiye for the first time. Zhou Zhiye and Situ Ping both had a successful qi refining period and were about the same age, but compared to Situ Ping, Zhou Zhiye looked more like a little white face. Situ Ping was just indifferent, and Zhou Zhiye's gaze always carried a hint of evil energy. Lin Haoming now felt a little fortunate, and subconsciously felt that following this guy might be better than following Situ Ping. At this moment, Zhou Zhiye indeed asked with a strange and sinister tone, "Senior brother Situ, I heard that you have a guy with a qi refining stage of 7 levels under your command who wants to bet on someone's worth. It's really interesting. It's been a long time since we've encountered such a thing. Since that kid dares to say this, it shows that he has confidence in this competition. I wonder if you also have confidence in him, senior brother." Situ Ping snorted coldly and said, "Junior brother Zhou, just say what you have. It's strange that master said you don't look like a man." "Humph, senior brother taught me a lesson, so let me be frank. These little butlers are fighting, and we haven't placed any bets for a long time. Since we have such an interesting kid, junior brother, I also want to place bets on people on my side. I wonder if you will take it, senior brother?" Zhou Zhiye asked. Situ Ping squinted his eyes as he looked at Zhou Zhiye, then glanced at Lin Haoming and asked, "How much certainty do you have?" Lin Haoming was stared at by Situ Ping and felt a bit uncomfortable all over, but he also knew that his answer was important. After thinking for a while, he finally replied, "If we ignore the consequences, at least 70%. Upon hearing these words, Situ Ping smiled and said, "Junior brother, what do you think?" Zhou Zhiye also heard Lin Haoming's words and sneered, "It's simple. Just let them sign the life and death contract, and we'll serve as witnesses." "Okay, that's it." Situ Ping saw him say this method and no longer asked for Lin Haoming's opinion, he agreed directly. P.S. Friends who have been reading old Jing's books will surely wonder how old Jing can use the mortal mode. Indeed, this mode has been around for some years, but it is the most familiar to old Jing. Without some mode settings, old Jing can also focus more energy on character portrayal. What old Jing hopes to do is to create a character that everyone can remember after reading it for a long time. Now little spoiler, if Lan Meiji is the female lead. Moreover, this book will not become a *** text, and there will definitely be more than one female lead, but there will also be no more than 3. At least the outline of Lao Jing is expected to be within 2 million words, so now the female lead appears, please collect it. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. First Murder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 First Murder. Lin Haoming naturally knows what a life and death agreement is. Once signed with witnesses, even if the other party is killed, it does not violate sect rules. In my memory, the former Lin Haoming was forced to participate in continuous battles. In order to save his life, he repeatedly took out the property given to him by his ancestors, but in the end, there was nothing to give him, so he was kicked out of the inner door. Nowadays, most of the people who snatched their belongings have already laid a foundation, and it may not be easy for them to seek revenge. Situ Ping took out a refined scroll and threw it directly to Lin Haoming. Although Lin Haoming was helpless, he could only sign his own name. As for Guo Xian on the other side, he did not expect the situation to become so serious, but it was already this point where he could not turn back, and he did not believe that he would lose. Watching the two people sign the life and death agreement, Zhou Zhiye smiled and said, "Okay, since that's the case, junior brother, here is a bottle of medium-quality Heqi pill, a total of 20, worth 200 spirit stones." The Heqi pill is usually used by cultivators who have reached the 9th level of qi refining or have a full circle. Each pill requires 3 spirit stones, while the value of medium-grade Heqi pills has increased by more than 3 times. 10 spirit stones are worth 1, and 20 are indeed worth 200 spirit stones. Among the disciples from outside, unless someone wants to break through the bottleneck of the Qi refining period, they will buy 1 or 2 of these Qi pills. Otherwise, no one would waste so many spirit stones. Therefore, although Lin Haoming knew it was a good thing, he did not buy it. Situ Ping did not take anything and directly took out 200 spirit stones as chips. At the same time, he said to Lin Haoming, "If you win, not only will you get your own bet, but as a senior brother, I will also reward you with a medium-quality Qi pill." After hearing this, Lin Haoming knew that it was Situ Ping motivating himself. Upon hearing this, Zhou Jiwei also said without showing any weakness, "Gua Xian, if you win, besides winning the 30 spirit stones bet, the senior brother will also reward you with 30 spirit stones." The value of the 30 spirit stones is higher than that of a medium-grade Qi pill, which can be considered as surpassing that of Situ Ping. However, everyone understands that to take advantage of this benefit, the only way is to fight for life. After agreeing on the bet, both sides will withdraw their hands, and according to the rules, as long as one side admits defeat or loses their fighting power, the winner will be determined. The host of the competition is Ma Guanshi, and the old man is not one to help. He is considered a notary public. In the past, every competition would draw a fee for a spirit stone. Although the bet is high, he only took 1 spirit stone. At this moment, the two of them stood in the middle, 10 zhang away from each other. Gua Xian looked at Lin Haoming and sneered, "Kid, you still have a chance to survive by begging for mercy now, otherwise he." Lin Haoming didn't pay any attention to his threat, just looked at the Steward Ma. Because the Steward Ma saw that Lin Haoming was competing for the first time, he specifically explained the rules briefly. In fact, Lin Haoming had already learned the rules from Niu Wuko a long time ago, and now he is just listening to them again. After he finished speaking, Steward Ma specifically asked, "Do you understand everything?" "I understand." Lin Haoming agreed. Steward Ma saw Lin Haoming nod and said directly, "If you understand, let's start." As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Lin Haoming throwing out a talisman, and then directly spraying a mouthful of essence blood towards the talisman to help stimulate its power. On the other hand, Gua Xian took out a half-foot-long flying knife from his arms, threw it casually, and then hit a magic spell towards the flying knife. The flying knife instantly emitted a blue light and flew towards Lin Haoming. Intermediate magical weapon. Seeing the flying knife, everyone shouted loudly. Obviously, they didn't expect that Gua Xian still had such a good thing in his hand. With intermediate magical weapon in his hand, his cultivation was 1 level higher than that of Lin Haoming. It's really useless. No wonder Zhou Jie would make such a big bet. However, when people thought like this, they only saw a piece of rune thrown by Lin Haoming flashed a green light, and then saw in the green light, suddenly a bunch of thick wind blades burst out of the green light, and the storm generally fell toward Gua Xian. Ah! Gua Xian didn't expect the other party to casually throw out a low-level and top-grade talisman. This was beyond his ability to resist. He let out a scream, and his whole body was cut into pieces by the wind blade. If he didn't carefully identify it, he couldn't tell that he was actually a person. On the other hand, Lin Haoming took out a talisman and slapped it towards his forehead, followed by a golden light shield covering his body. The flying knife that had been shot earlier hit the light shield, causing ripples on it. However, when Gua Xian screamed and remembered it, the flying knife lost control of its owner and immediately became a dead object, falling directly to the ground. Lin Haoming looked at Gua Xian, who had threatened him before, and now he had turned into pieces of meat. Although he had been dealing with corpses all day, the first time he had actually killed someone, Lin Haoming still looked a bit ugly. "This is the first time I have killed someone, the first time I have ended someone's life. Although this person has a grudge against me and I have thought about taking their life, I still feel very different when I am truly killed by myself. However, I do not regret or fear it, because I understand that if I had weak means just now, I would have died." At this moment, Lin Haoming felt a slight reaction coming from the merit ball. It was only then that he realized that he had gained some merit by killing the guy in front of him. He didn't know who was grateful to him. Lin Haoming thought for a moment and realized that he had won the competition, helped Situ Ping win the elixir, and even saved face. He was grateful to himself, which was normal. However, he felt that it was more likely that it was other officials, because his victory was equivalent to half the victory in the Big Moon battle. Not only did he not need to pay any money, but he also gained something. Although he only had a spiritual stone, it was always better than nothing. At this moment, Lin Haoming also regained his senses and took off the diamond talisman. At the same time, he found that with just one strike from the flying knife, the spiritual power of this diamond talisman had been consumed by 1/3. As a mid-level magical tool, it was indeed not easy. If Xie had 9 levels of cultivation, he was afraid that the diamond talisman could withstand at most 2 attacks. After collecting the diamond talisman, Lin Haoming immediately picked up the flying knife from the ground and followed it directly to Situ Ping. He smiled and said, "Situ senior brother, this is a medium-grade magical weapon. This flying knife is not bad, I can also use it. Here are 5 Hechi pills, which I bought." Situ Ping grabbed the winning Hechi pills and poured 5 for Lin Haoming, then directly put away the flying knife. "Senior brother Situ, you have signed a life and death agreement and killed the opponent. The winner can obtain everything from the loser. This flying knife is at least a mid-range magical weapon, and I think it should be worth 100 spirit stones. Senior brother, you are really generous. Did this kid use 2 talismans just now and need at least 50 spirit stones?" Zhou Zhiye sneered as he lost. Of course, Situ Ping knew the value of this flying sword. On the contrary, his cultivation had reached the peak of his Qi refining period, and the Hechi pill had little effect on him. Giving it out was not a big concern. However, when Zhou Zhiye said this to himself, he couldn't help but say, even a steward can afford to buy a mid-level magical tool. "Zhou junior brother, isn't this what you gave him? Anyway, you can still get it back after using it." Situ Ping was absolutely right. This flying sword magical weapon was indeed given by Zhou Zhiye. Losing it now is equivalent to losing an additional medium-grade magical weapon. He retorted in disbelief, "Is the talisman under your command his own?" Lin Haoming knew he had killed Xie, which could be considered a complete offense to Zhou Zhiye. At this moment, he could only walk one path to the dark. At this moment, he also spoke up, "This is what my ancestors left for me to protect my life." Lin Haoming's statement is also reasonable. After all, everyone here knows that he used to be a descendant of his ancestors. Situ Ping was also very satisfied with Lin Haoming's answer at the moment, and a rare smile appeared on his face as he said, "Did you hear that? Do you think everyone is as shameless as you?" When Situ Ping said these words, Lin Haoming felt that his merit bead seemed to have been achieved again. He did not expect that Situ Ping would also be grateful to him. "You." Zhou Zhiye struggled to refute for a moment, looking at a hint of cruelty in Lin Haoming's eyes. Seeing this look in his eyes, Lin Haoming knew that he had been completely hated by this inner disciple. P.S. Everyone has their first time. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me your first ticket and collect it for the first time. End of this chapter.